Hey everyone, and welcome. Look, we've all been there, right? A project starts falling behind schedule, and the real challenge isn't just knowing you're late, it's proving why you're late and building a totally airtight case for an extension of time. So today, we're going to break down exactly how to do that using what's called forensic schedule analysis.
This is the question that keeps project managers up at night. You can feel the project slipping away, but proving exactly why with real evidence that's going to hold up under pressure, well, that's a whole different ballgame. This can't be about feelings or opinions. It has to be about cold, hard proof.
So here's how we're going to tackle this. First, we'll look at the basic anatomy of a delay claim. Then we'll walk through a super practical three-step method. First, quantify the variance. Get the numbers. Second, uncover the cause. Figure out the why. And third, visualize the impact. And then we'll see how it all comes together to create that defensible claim you need.
We're basically going to treat this like a crime scene investigation. Seriously, the goal is to sift through all the noise, the opinions, and the sheer complexity of a project to find the objective truth that's buried deep inside your project data. And this is a really crucial mindset shift. It's not about pointing fingers or assigning blame, it's about establishing the facts.
And here it is, the core framework for this whole thing: quantify, causate, and visualize. If you remember anything, remember these three steps. First, you measure the delay with hard numbers, no guesswork. Second, you pinpoint the actual root causes. And third, you present all that evidence in a clear, compelling visual story. This is the key to building a case that is just undeniable.
All right, let's dive into step one: quantify. A truly rock-solid claim always begins with objective, measurable data. Before you can even start to argue why you're late, you have to prove with precision that you are late and exactly where those delays are cropping up. And the main tool for that is something called Variance Analysis. It sounds fancy, but it's actually pretty simple. All you're doing is comparing what you plan to do with what you've actually gotten done. By calculating that difference between your planned value and your earned value, you get a clear numerical measurement of how far off track you are.
And here's what that analysis looks like in the real world. You know, it's a simple truth teller. By comparing the planned value to the earned value for each and every activity, you get this super clear, data-driven picture. You can see instantly that the concrete pour is 25% behind. Steel erection, right on track. This isn't an opinion. This is your factual starting point, your hard evidence.
But here's where the magic really happens. This isn't just about a high-level summary. The real power here is the ability to drill down. You can go from that 30,000-foot view of the entire project's delay, right down to the specific, individual activities that are causing the problem. It lets you pinpoint the exact source of the trouble. And as the source material really highlights here, this process doesn't just spit out a final number. It shows you the contribution from each part of the project. You can see exactly which components are driving that delay. This right here is the first critical piece of your forensic evidence. Okay, so we've quantified the what. We know we're 25% behind on our cladding. That's a fact. But that's not enough, is it? To build a real claim, you have to prove the why. You have to be able to connect that variance to a specific cause.
And this is where behind-schedule analysis comes into play. You can think of this as the detective work. It's the method for systematically digging into the reasons for delay. You take those problem activities we just identified, and using your project records, things like daily reports, site diaries, meeting minutes, you start assigning factual reasons to them.
And this is where your investigation gets really, really powerful. By categorizing each one of those delayed activities, was it a resource issue, an approval holdup, a dependency problem, you can create a data-driven summary that looks just like this. So you're no longer just saying, we were delayed. You're proving that 45% of our delay was caused by resource issues and another 30% by approval holdups. See the difference? And honestly, this is a total game changer. The traditional approach, it often relies on subjective opinions, on arguments, which are just so hard to defend. This method, it replaces all of that with data-driven summaries. It shifts the whole conversation away from blame and toward contribution, which makes your argument evidence-based and just way more credible.
So we've quantified the delay, and we've identified the cause. Now for the final and maybe the most important step of our forensic process, presenting all this data in a way that tells a clear and absolutely undeniable story. Because let's be real, a spreadsheet full of numbers and dates, that is not a compelling story. It doesn't capture the complex dance of events that actually happen out there on site. So to make your case effectively, you need a much more intuitive, visual way to communicate what happened.
This is where enhanced schedule visualization is just incredible.
So instead of just a single boring bar for an activity, you can actually layer multiple pieces of information onto one single line of a Gantt chart. You can see the original baseline schedule, the actual progress, and key events like client approvals all in one place. It visually connects the cause directly to the effect.
And at the end of the day, as the source material puts it, the goal is to give a clear picture of the events. It's that simple. When a stakeholder can just look at a single line on a chart and see the original plan, the delay, and the client approval that caused it, well, the argument pretty much makes itself. The story becomes self-evident.
So let's bring this all home. By following this forensic method, you are transforming what can feel like a chaotic, messy project timeline into a clear, structured, and, most importantly, a completely defensible claim.
Here it is, the whole process in one shot. You start by quantifying the variance to establish the hard facts. Then you pinpoint the cause with systematic categorization. After that, you visualize the story to make the impact undeniable. And the result, a compelling, evidence-based claim that is built on a solid foundation of data, not just opinion.
And that really leaves us with one final question for you to think about. When every single day on a project has massive financial implications, the clarity of your data is everything. So take a hard look at your own projects. Is your scheduled data just a collection of numbers, or is it telling a clear, compelling, and defensible story?